and welcome back to Trek Mission Log. My name is Jason Gilbert and I am very glad that you're here today. I have some very good news. This past week we hit the 100 subscribers milestone, and so from the bottom of my heart I thank you so much. So this coming Monday, October the 17th, I will be posting a special giveaway video, so look out for that. All the details about the giveaway and how you can enter will be shared in that video, and I'm very excited to bring that to you. So again, thank you very much. I ask, if you enjoy this content, would you please go ahead and hit that subscribe button? It would mean a great deal to me and it would really help this channel out immensely. Also, we're on Instagram. Just type in @TrekMissionLog and you'll find me there, and we can interact with each other and discuss all things Star Trek on there. Now today I am reviewing the original series season 1 episode titled A Taste of Armageddon. The original air date was February the 22nd, 1967. The teleplay is written by Gene L. Kuhn and Robert Hamner, based on a story by Robert Hamner. It was produced by Gene L. Kuhn and directed by Joseph Pevney. Without any further ado, let's dive in. The Enterprise is en route to Star Cluster NGC-321 to open diplomatic conversations with the inhabitants of the planets there. They have sent word to the main planet of that star cluster named Aminiar 7, Aminiar 7, and are waiting to hear back from them. An ambassador who is heading this mission comes to the bridge to inquire if they have heard anything. Just then, a message comes in from the planet with code 710. That code means that under no circumstances are they to approach that planet. The ambassador uses his authority in this matter to disregard that warning from the planet and head there anyway. Because the ambassador has command privilege in this mission, Kirk has no choice but to comply. And so he puts the ship on yellow alert, he orders phasers armed and deflector screens up, and orders the ship to head in. We then fade into the title sequence. When we come back, the Enterprise is in orbit around Aminiar 7. The order to establish diplomatic relations at all costs is given. Kirk is preparing a landing party, and Spock tells Kirk that not much is known about this planet. They're capable of spaceflight but have never left their solar system. 50 years ago a ship came here and never returned home. The name of the ship was the USS Valiant. Kirk puts the landing party together, minus the ambassador, to the chagrin of the ambassador, until Kirk can determine the safety of that planet. He leaves the ship in the hands of Mr. Scott. The landing party beam down to this beautiful city, and they are greeted by a young lady named Maya. Kirk is immediately attracted to her. Kirk asked why they were told not to come to the planet, and she replied that it was for their own safety. She said that since they were there, they will be extended hospitality, but while they're there, they are in danger. It's a weird statement because as you look around, everything seems peaceful on this planet. She leads them to the council room where they are greeted by Anon 7, pictured there in the center, who's the leader of the council. Kirk tells Anon 7 that they are there to develop diplomatic relations with them. Anon 7 said it is impossible because of the war. He said that they have been at war for 500 years. Now, Spock questions this because he scanned the planet and there's no evidence of war whatsoever. Anon said that they lose 1 to 3 million people each year due to direct enemy attack. He also stated that as long as the ship is in orbit, it is in danger. They are at war with the third planet in their star cluster called Vendikar. Suddenly an alarm goes off, and Anon said that Vendikar is attacking them. Now, Kirk asked if they should take shelter. Maya said that no shelter is needed. Attacks are frequent. They respond immediately. The computerized map shows that they have been hit severely in the city. Funny that no explosions are heard. The landing party are confused. Kirk asked about what weapons their enemy was using. Maya replied, fusion bombs. Kirk calls up to the ship, and Scott reported that all is quiet. Anon 7 said that it was a vicious attack and there are high casualties. Kirk said there's no evidence that anything has happened. And Anon replied that over 500,000 people have just been killed. He orders an immediate counterattack. Spock then said to Kirk that they fight this war with computers. Anon confirmed it. Deaths have been registered, and the people that have been registered dead now have 24 hours to report to a disintegration machine. Anon said that the computer launches an attack mathematically. Then the computer registers who the casualties are. He lost his wife in the last attack, meaning the computer from Vendikar generated an attack on Aminiar 7 and decided that a certain area was terminated even though there was no destruction. And her death was registered by the computer, and so she had to report to a disintegration machine to have her life terminated there. Anon then looked at Kirk sadly and said that they should not have come. Once they were in orbit, the computer registered them as a legitimate target. And in this last attack, the Enterprise was declared destroyed, and now all of the Enterprise crew have 24 hours to report to a disintegration machine. Kirk and the landing party are being held in custody until the ship surrenders. Now, in a holding room, Maya comes in and asks if they need anything, and Kirk demands to see Anon 7. She said that he cannot, and Kirk questions this craziness. She explained to him that if people don't go voluntarily into the disintegration machines, Vendikar will fire real weapons and destroy their whole civilization. She then leaves. On the ship, Scotty receives a message from Kirk. Kirk reported that the planet has agreed to full diplomatic relations and extends an invitation for the crew to enjoy shore leave there. We see that this is Anon 7 using the computer to mimic Kirk's voice. Scotty has his doubts. He has the computer run an analysis on the message, and it is indeed not Kirk's voice. On the planet, Spock is going to attempt to use telepathy to force the guard outside their door to unlock the door so they can break out. He explained that in the history of Vulcanians, there is telepathy. And in a very good sequence, Spock is successful. The guard opens the door, and Kirk knocks out the guard with two very powerful Shatner chops. A double whammy. He said to Spock that they're going to need more weapons and that they may be forced to kill to get them. Spock acknowledged that he understood. As they break out of their holding room, the landing party witnesses somebody going into a disintegration machine. People go in and they don't come back out. The machine completely pulverizes the victim. Kirk notices Maya on her way to be disintegrated, and he stops her. Spock goes up and puts the Vulcan nerve pinch on the guard and takes his disruptor weapon. Kirk orders all remaining guards around the machine to clear out of the way. He then uses the disruptor to destroy the disintegration machine. Anon 7 has been notified, and he orders full security detail to find the landing party. He further orders the Enterprise to be targeted and destroyed. Now the planet begins firing on the Enterprise, but the deflector screens are successful in deflecting the attack. Scott suggested that they use photon torpedoes to get their attention, but as he does, the ambassador walks in and puts a stop to it. The landing party go back to the room where they originally were held. Kirk asks Maya for a layout of the compound. She does not cooperate at first. Meanwhile, the ambassador sends a priority message to the planet, and Anon 7 responds. He gave a falsified statement to the ambassador. Anon then quietly orders his men to destroy the Enterprise as soon as they lower their deflector screens. On the ship, the ambassador orders Scott to lower the deflectors in an act of good faith. Scotty refuses. He said he will not lower the screens until Kirk orders him to. Kirk then sneaks into Anon's quarters. Anon detects him and offers Kirk a drink. Kirk demands to have his communicators returned to him. Anon refuses. And when Kirk's back is turned, Anon pushes a button, notifying guards to come. Kirk catches on that something is up, and so he uses Anon to go into the corridor where several guards are waiting. Kirk fights them, but eventually they knock him out. Anon orders Kirk taken to the council room. The ambassador and his protege beam down. Immediately they are subdued and taken to a casualty station so that their deaths can be registered. Meanwhile, Spock has been able to modify one of the planet's communicators to talk to Scotty. He orders Scotty to move the Enterprise to maximum phaser range and to stand by for orders. Spock gets word that the ambassador has beamed down and has been apprehended. And so Spock and some of his men go and rescue him, and Spock destroys another disintegration machine. In the council room, Kirk refuses to cooperate. He said that he is going to destroy everything. Anon 7 chuckles. How can one man destroy everything? Anon then calls up to the Enterprise to try to intimidate the Enterprise into beaming everybody down. And as he opens the communicator, Kirk runs up and tells Scotty to enact General Order 24 in 2 hours. Kirk is then subdued, and he explains to Anon that General Order 24 means that the Enterprise would destroy the whole planet. Scott calls down and says to Anon 7 that unless they release the hostages, the entire surface of the planet will be destroyed. Kirk then subdues a guard and takes his weapon. Spock and the landing party come in, and Spock is surprised that Kirk has the whole situation under control. Kirk calls up to Scotty and said if everything goes according to plan, he can beam up the landing party in 10 minutes. If Scott doesn't hear from them, he is ordered to execute General Order 24 on schedule. Kirk said to Anon he's going to end the 500-year war. Spock explains to Kirk how the computers here are connected to the ones on Vendikar. He showed which computer was the main one. Spock said, destroy that one and the whole system will go down. Kirk immediately destroys it, and the whole array goes up in flames. Kirk told Anon he took the computer away. And now a real war is just around the corner. He told Anon that he has 2 choices. He could build weapons and fight, or he could put an end to it and make peace with Vendikar. The ambassador offers his services as a negotiator for peace. Anon 7 accepts his offer, and they leave to begin negotiations with Vendikar immediately. Kirk calls up to the Enterprise and orders the cancellation of General Order 24 and that their landing party be beamed up. On the ship, the ambassador calls up and reports that negotiations are going well, and after a brief conversation with Spock about the risk that Kirk took, the Enterprise sails off to her next mission. A Taste of Armageddon was a very good episode. I felt that the story was very believable, and you can imagine these events happening as they happen on screen. Certainly, as humans, we are well acquainted with war and conflict. History is replete with the horrors of war. We have seen the devastation that war causes as whole civilizations are impacted, and in some situations, whole civilizations were wiped out. So, as the Enterprise comes to Amenia 7, they have found a civilization who fight a war in an entirely different way. A war has been going on for 500 years with no effects of devastation or bombs. But nevertheless, casualties are very real. Instead of dropping bombs on each other, the war is fought through computers. It selects a target, destroys it virtually, records a number of deaths, and then the people go to be disintegrated. Of course, it is madness, but the premise is very intriguing. In fact, it is very good science fiction, and it is very well acted. They feel that they are fighting a war without devastation, but the loss of life is terrible. 1 to 3 million people each year. Now, you take the higher number, 3 million a year, over 500 years, that means on that planet alone, at 3 million deaths a year, that is a total of 1,500,000,000,000 lives lost in 500 years. Shatner did a great job in this episode as he is fighting for the lives of his crew. It was a very believable performance. I love how his character never settles for defeat. Later in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, he would say to Lieutenant Savick, "I don't believe in a no-win scenario." Who knows, maybe the 80s show MacGyver was based on James T. Kirk. I know that's a stretch. Anon 7 was a great character in this episode. You can see his dilemma, I think, as he feels that he is doing what is right for his people, but I think he also feels the loss of life as a waste, but doesn't know what to do about it. It took Kirk and the crew to make him see what he needed to do. And so when offered help, Anon 7 jumps at the chance for peace. It was also great to see Scotty in this episode. What great strength and resolve that he demonstrates here. He stood up to the ambassador and stood behind his captain. Good stuff here. Also really good was the ambassador. As a diplomat, he became a very proud and haughty man. However, he was humbled very quickly when he beamed down to the planet. I think it demonstrates that conventional diplomacy does not work in every situation. Not everything is black and white. Not everything is cut and dry. So all of this was done really well. Now, the special effects were low in this episode, but in this case, they were not needed. It was a great story and it was well acted. The only thing that I can consider weak in this episode was the absence of Sulu. He was not present at all, and Uhura's presence was very, very minimal. So I give A Taste of Armageddon 5 out of 5 Starfleet insignias for awesomeness. I loved it. It's a fantastic episode. I highly recommend that you watch it. Well, that does it for Trek Mission Log this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Please feel free to leave a comment below. I love reading them. I would love to read your thoughts on this comment. I even enjoy reading the ones where you disagree with me. It's good we can disagree agreeably. Also, watch out for my giveaway video coming this Monday so that you can get in on it. So please consider subscribing. And I invite you to join me next week as I review the episode This Side of Paradise. Until then, live long and prosper.